Jambo Africa, we have not spoken for quite a long time. Africa, this is for you. This show is for you. This is African dignity. As long as we don't have dignity as Africans, nobody will respect us. I want to remind all Africans in Africa and in the diaspora that you are the most powerful nation and you are the most richest nation in the world. Everything, even the superpowers, they are threatening the whole world with nuclear weapons, but they do not have uranium. Uranium is mined in the DRC, in Southwest Africa, and all over Africa. Because we are peaceful people, we let people come and take uranium so that they can use it to threaten us. We as Africans now, we have decided that let us wake up, let us stand up for your rights, stand up for our rights, and make sure that those threats do not mean a thing to us, because we know we are a strong nation. All the nations of the world fear Africans. All they are doing, they are trying by all means to destroy Africa or to make Africa a slave provider. Because of the kind of people that we are, because we are accommodating, we are sociable, we are a loving nation, people abuse that and think that we are fools. But we shouldn't allow that. I think the time now has come for us to stand up and be counted. First of all, let me awaken all Africans in the diaspora that you are in the diaspora against your will. Most of you, you are never there because you went to the diaspora, including America, to look for greener pastures, because greener pastures are actually in Africa. You went there against your will. You are in America against your will. You may think that being an African American is the best thing that has ever happened to you. When your children are getting shot every day, then it should tell you that being an African American in America is actually a curse. So this particular talk will be around creating awareness to all Africans that your forefathers, your ancestors, left Africa against their will. They were kidnapped. They were kidnapped all over Africa. Whether you say it's West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, or Northern Africa, or Southern Africa, the fact remains that your ancestors were kidnapped from this continent to go and be slaves in the cotton fields, in the sugar canes, in the Americas, in deforestation trade in America. That is what they were used for. Now we are saying we are not going to accept a call from the slave masters to say now they've decided to free slaves. The freedom of slaves depends on the slave himself. No one is going to say, now we want you to make a slave and now we've changed our mind, we think we should liberate you. Liberation from slavery will come from Africans. We do not want reparations. We don't need reparations because we never consented to any of our people being taken from Africa to the Americas. This is a very important talk that needs every one of us to wake up and think deeply. Africa is a wide territory. There is too much land that is left unused, and that land belongs to you as African Americans. So what we have decided with all the chiefs in Africa, that because you may feel that it is awkward for you guys to come back to Africa, but we are saying there is nothing wrong for you to claim your legacy, because in Africa, don't be fooled, Africa never had title deeds. Title deeds came with whites. in Africa, we belonged to chiefs, which means we were subject. Every African is a subject to a chief somewhere in Africa, anywhere in Africa. You are in America today, but you are subject to chiefs in Africa. And what does that mean? That means anytime you come to Africa and you say, Chief, I want land to build for my children, nobody's going to refuse that, because no chief will ever refuse any black person coming from the diaspora and asking the chief or the kings in Africa to give you land where you can accommodate your children, create shelter for your children, and create grazing land for your cattle. That is what Africa is all about. Well, it happened, unfortunately, that our brave men, the strongest one that could survive those journeys across the Atlantic Ocean, were taken away from us. And those were the brave men whose job was to look after cattle as herdsmen. And they were taken away from us by those who kidnapped them so that they can make them slaves. Now we are saying, you have a legacy in Africa, you have an inheritance in Africa, which is land. Now we are saying, from today onwards, we will be talking to every African American, to every African in the diaspora, whether you are in Venezuela, Brazil, Canada, or in Europe. If you were taken in Africa, if you have a history of having been kidnapped in Africa, you have all the rights to come back and claim your legacy. Nobody can stop you from doing that, because this is your ancestral land. We are going to form NGOs and form organizations where we will be using this land to manufacture food, because I know that most of you are sleeping under the bridges in New York, in Alabama, in Baltimore, in Detroit, everywhere in America. Africans are sleeping under the bridges. That is not what's supposed to be happening to Africans, because Africans have land that they can use to produce food, to farm, and to sell. It is for this reason that I am asking every African to be an ambassador that we will use wherever you are, that your place, your space, wherever you are, even if you are under the bridge, we will use that space to distribute food produce that has been manufactured from your land in Africa. And we will be using that. We don't want to go to things like AGOA, where when Americans feel that we don't want to do what they want us to do, then they will say Africa cannot trade with America. We are entitled to trade with everybody, because our people are in America today. And all we are saying, come and till your land so that you don't starve, right? We are saying, come and use your land so that you can be able to sell the surplus that you'll be producing. Africa is a fertile ground, and if we give you fresh produce for you to distribute in America, it's up to you, because this is your legacy, and nobody can say you cannot do that. So stand up. I have spoken to all the kings and chiefs in Africa, and everybody is happy to do business with everyone in the diaspora. We will be using this land to produce food so that no African starves wherever he is. Everybody who is an African should be respected, because we are producers of food. We are farmers. So let us use that opportunity and make sure that the whole world is fed from Africa. We are no longer in the business of allowing people to come and steal uranium, oil. We are saying from now on we are going to be producing food for everyone. Africa is a rich continent. Let us use this opportunity. Jambo Africa.